day, everybody. I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. All right. So we said we're doing A plus students.ca, and we're doing grade 4 English lesson. All right. So once again, good day, everybody. I hope that you are well, and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we'll be doing our grade 4 English lesson on commas. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, all right. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. We're going to select the subject of English Language Arts. We're doing grade 4. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of. All right, then once you've done that, then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of commas. All right, and today under the chapter of commas, right? We see that chapter is commas, commas. Our subject is English language arts. All right. So we see that chapter is commas. The subject is English language arts. We're doing grade 4, and the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of commas is commas with series and commas with dates. So that is going to be our chapter as well as our lessons for today. And when it comes to commas, right? All right. So when it comes to commas, right? We can use commas in many different ways. So we can use commas in many different ways. The first way over here, it's where we use commas to separate three or more items in a series. So we said using commas, we use commas to separate three or more items in a series. All right. So when it comes to our commas, right? So we said we can use commas to separate three or more items within a series. And that will basically put the comma after each other or after each item in a list, except for the least ones. All right. So we need to put a comma after each item in the list and except the last one. All right. And if we look at an example, right, of the American flag, it says the American flag is red, yellow, and blue. All right. And we said the American flag is red, white, and blue. All right, so we see that the American flag is red, white, and blue. If you look at the commas in front of, all right. So we said that we put commas in a list, right? And that list we call series, right? All right. So remember, if we say, for example, you also say that I went to the shop and I went to go and buy oranges, apples, pears, right? Then you first get right oranges, comma, apples, comma, and pears, right? So that is basically what we're talking about when we talk about series. Then when it comes to also commas, right? We can also add commas with dates, such as in dates, we use commas between the day and the year, like January 1, 2000. Or if we were to give today's date, we would say it is October 11, and it is 2024. It's already October 12 by us in South Africa, but it is still October 11th by you guys. So there we have, that is how you write the dates. It is first the month, then the day, a comma, and then the year. So we need to basically put our comma when need be, right? And like I said, when it also comes to series of things, we can say that, oopsie. So we can say I bought an apple, orange. So we can say that I bought an apple, orange, and. So this is basically how you write it, where you basically put the add the commas where need be, and that is the rule. All right. So we need to just add our commas, and that is basically to separate it, right? So now, if you look at both of these explanations, right, we need to basically just use the commas, and it is to separate either words, separate sentences, right, separate things. And in the first paragraph, we say that a comma, it separates three or more items in a series. All right. And we see that once again in dates, we use a comma between the day, the year, so the day and the year. All right, so now we're going to A plus students.ca. And we're going to, our chapter is commas. All right, and now we're going to commas with series. It says use commas to separate three or more items in a series, and we put a comma after each one except for the last one. All right, they're only giving us the answers. Okay, now let's go to our test. Our test is the commas with a series. So when it comes to commas with series, right? Remember we said that we add our commas where we need to list a few things, right? So anything that you list that is three or more, then we need to add commas. If it's just two items, you can just say orange and apple. One item, apple. But anything that is three or more, you need to then add a comma to show almost like that break. So now we're going to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing nouns. And if the sentence is already correct, then we don't do any. So it says, correct the bold part with the sentence by adding any missing commas. If the sentence is already correct, then don't add any comments. Commas. All right. And now if you look at this one, right, it says the leaves, branches, and trunk of this tree is covered with ants. All right. So we're not going to choose the correct one, right? Where the commas are at. All right. So we need to choose the correct commas with series, right? So we're going to choose the correct commas with series. Do we say option one, the leaves, branches, and trunk of this tree is covered with ants? All right. So we need to choose the correct option, not both, only one. If you look at the commas, right, then you will see, look at only the words in bold. All right. So if we were to choose the correct option, then option one is correct. Remember, we can't say both, right? We should at least give one option that is correct, not both, right? So when we write our commas, remember we said we add when it's three or more, even before and we add a comma, right? But not after and, because the word that comes after and is basically to show that, And we are finishing off. I got a robot, a toy rocket, and a telescope for my birthday. All right, so we're going to look at the next one. It says option one, I got a robot, a toy rocket, and a telescope. Or option two, just try to look at how the commas are, right? So for example, if you think that it is the same, just look at the commas. I got a rocket, a toy, I got a robot, a toy rocket, and a telescope for my birthday. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, we will even choose over here, option one. Well done. Option one is correct. The next one says we need to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. Don't you want sausage, eggs, and toast for breakfast? All right. So the next one says we need to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. All right. And the next one says, do you want sausage, eggs, and toast for breakfast? Or do we say option two, do you want sausage, eggs, and toast for breakfast? Which one is correct? Option one or option two? Option one or option two, that is correct. And if we were to choose the correct option, do you want sausage, egg, and toast? So option one, right? It's option one. All right, let's go on to the next one. It says the committee includes several doctors, nurses, and patients. Or option two, the committee includes several doctors, nurses, and patients. If you need to look at the commas that is added on there, do we say it's option one or option two? Option one or option two, that is correct. And if we were to choose the correct option, we will say the committee decides to include several doctors, nurses, and patients. All right, let's go to the last one. It says we need to add or to see where the commas are. It says, will you measure this in yards, feet, or inches? Will you measure or yards, feet, or inches? All right. So now, actually, we can go on to the next one. So now we're going to commas with dates. Before we go to commas with dates, guys, remember when we add a list of names, right, or list of things, a series of things, right, then we, for example, write the one thing, comma, write the other thing, comma. Now, if you want to say and, then we first add another comma, then we say and you write the person's name who takes basically who takes care of you or who did something or who bought something, right? That is a series. Now we're going to be writing the dates down. The dates. It says in dates we use a comma between the day and the year, right? And I made an example of today's date, where I say today's date is October. It is 11. Oopsie. Sorry, not a comma there. The comma comes after the one. So it's October 11, comma 2024. That is how you write a date. You put the month, you add the day, followed by a comma, and the year. So October 11, 2024. All right. So now it's basically giving us the same thing. Okay, so now let's go to our test, right? Where we are going to say commas with dates or choose commas with dates, where we are going to basically correct the errors of dates or with dates. So we need to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. All right, so Yahweh says that we need to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. If the sentence is already correct, then don't do it. Option one says astronaut Chris Hadfield returned to Earth on May 13, 2020. Or option two, he returned to Earth on May, 13, 2013. All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, whether it's option one or whether it's option two, and then we will say it is option one. Because remember, we said we have the month, we said we have the day, followed by a comma, and then the year. And option one is correct. All right. And if we were to choose the correct one, then we will, the correct date, and then we will say it's option. Oh, this is the second one. The second one says British soldiers set the White House on fire on August 24. All right. So if we were to choose the correct option, is it option one? British soldiers set the White House on fire on August 24, 1814. Or option two, British soldiers set the White House on fire on August, 24, 1814. Which one is correct? Option one or option two? Option one or option two? Which one is correct? And if we were to choose the correct option, right, where we said that we add our month, we add the day, and we add the year, right? We first add the month, then the day, followed by a comma, and then the year. And if we were to choose the correct option, and then option one is correct. Option one is correct. The next one says, it says Vondra's first baseball game was on May 15, 2014. And if we were to choose the correct option, we will say Vondra's first basketball game was on May 15, 2014. Remember, when it comes to series with dates, and if we were to choose the correct option, and then we're going to say Vondra's first baseball game was on May 15, 2014. Because remember, we've said first the month, then the day, followed by a comma, and then the year. So option one is correct. Yes, option one is correct. Well done. All right, and let's look at the next one. The next one says we need to correct the bold part of the sentence by adding any missing commas. Any missing commas. All right, and if we were to choose our correct option, right, then we will go with, are we going to say option one or option two? Option one says February 7th, 1964. Option two says February, comma, 7, 1964. Which one is correct? Option one or option two? And if we were to choose the correct option, we will go with yes, well done. We will go with option one again. We have our month followed by the day, then a comma, and then we have the year. So option one is correct. Well done. Get another one. It says the Boston Tea Party took place on December 16, comma, 1773. So we need to choose the correct answer or the best option. Is it option one? Do we say December 16, comma, 1773? Or do we say option two, December, comma, 16, 1773? Which one is correct? All right, and if we were to choose the correct option, then yes, number one again. So option one again is correct. So number one again. All right, let's go into the next one. It says the first Groundhog Day was celebrated on February 2nd, comma, 1887, or option two, February, comma, 2nd, 1887. Which one is correct? All right, and then let's do this is the last one. We said the first, okay, okay, this is the last one. The first Groundhog Day was celebrated on February 2nd, 1870, 1887. All right. So before we end our lesson, right, we said that we have commas. So when it comes to commas, right, we can use commas to separate series, right? Within a sentence, we list a list of series. We can use commas for dates or to show where we need to add or separate our dates. We can use commas literally for everything, even in a sentence to show a pause and then we put a comma. All right. And if we were to choose, it's not to choose. If we now look at, sorry, if we look at what basically, if we, the whole breakdown of what the lesson was, just know that commas with series, we add a comma after every word. If there is three or more words within a series, we don't add the comma before the last word, but we do put the comma before the and. When it comes to commas with dates, and then we put the month, then the day, followed by a comma, and then the year. So, guys, this is basically going to be the end of our lesson. But before we end off our lesson, on Monday, it is a holiday. So, on Monday, it's a holiday. So, we're not having class on Monday, right? So, we're not having class on Monday. So, we will then continue with our classes from Tuesday onwards. So, if you are doing any other one-on-one classes other than the live classes, then there won't be any class on Monday. All right? Is everybody's clear? So this is the end of our lesson on commas. We said we did commas with series where we had to list series anything that is through three items or more. And then when we list our items, then we add a comma after each one of our items. The last one, before the last item, we say comma and we write our specific item. And then we also wrote commas with dates. And when it comes to commas with dates, we first put the month, we put the day, comma, as well as the year. So thank you, grade fours. You must have a good and safe weekend further. So till next time, goodbye.